destroyed, and there is an island nearby.
We're like,
Hello, people.
All right. Hi, guys. Welcome back to Library of Alexandria. Today we are finally talking about the stupid belly of the stupid bow. Good gracious. Book 2 of the Fencer trilogy by K.J. Parker. We were supposed to, this was our annual Parker trilogy read along. But Anita's been reading this book for 2 bloody months, and so we're behind. So expect the Proof House discussion sometime in February as we finish the Proof House
no,
this
last
month.
week of January is what we said, I thought.
I mean, it's not going to be the last week of January. I'm just like, it's just not, because it's 600 pages, and it's like, I don't think Anita's going to get done. Though, so the reason, like, we could have ditched Anita for this particular discussion. I'm letting y'all know, Belly of the Bow, guys. I'm going to avoid spoilers as long as possible. But there's a big spoiler in Belly of the Bow that if you are ever planning on reading it, you should not be here. I'll let you know before we mention that.
Yeah.
Because like it is. There are many spoilers that are just like, I mean, I guess this is probably one of the major ones about. That has like an actual impact like on your reading experience. So I would not, if you're ever planning on reading Belly of the Bow, I would get out before we talk about that. But because of that, Anita, that's why I wanted you on this particular discussion. Otherwise, like, and I already told Anita, if Anita needs a bail for Proof House, we were talking about it last time in the sprint. Like if Anita's just not feeling it, like, and just wants to get to it whenever, that's fine. Because I do understand, like, if you get locked down in a Parker book just because of the nature of Parker books, like, you're stuck forever. Like, if you are not in the mood, like, you have to, you pull an Anita and like have to like it's like trudging through like 8 miles of snow up to your knees. So I do understand that. But anyway, let's just talk in general. So I was pretty hard on Colors in the Steel. It has my lowest novel rating. I think I gave it a 3.5, but Belly of the Bow improved my opinion of Colors in the Steel because it answers a lot of questions that I had in Colors in the Steel that irritated me. So having read Belly of the Bow, what? Are you not liking Guards? Like, is that what you're talking about right now?
Who said that? It's just a theory.
I don't know, but like I'll derail this whole conversation.
I'm just like 10 pages into Guards.
I will literally use the principle on you, and you will get a horrible headache momentarily, and then the fancy new headset you got will break. So the Proof House, we will be reading this month, and hopefully all 4 of us will be joining. If not, it'll be what?
Charmaine.
I will turn this live around right now.
We'll go home.
So I am halfway, guys. I'm halfway done with Shadows Linger. I started last night.
Nice.
I'm halfway done with Shadows Linger. Oh, so good.
Truly a revolution.
I know. When I'm done with that, I'm going to be reading the mechanical, and when I'm done with that, I will be reading Proof House. So I will definitely finish Proof House in the time, and I'm sure Evie and Pete will also. Anita, I don't know. I need you to get your reading mojo back, and if Proof House is stopping that, don't read it.
Real quickly, can I just comment on the cover of Proof House, at least the cover that I have? I don't know why, but this cover makes me think it's just a giant sandworm from Dune.
That's a helmet.
Helmet.
I know, but I'm saying it looks like a giant sandworm from Dune.
A Proof House is apparently where armor goes to be inspected before use. And so I think this one is about making armor.
Heck yeah!
Oh my God.
What type of armor, though? There's so many.
I don't know.
We will learn how to test the armor, how to make the armor perfectly. We learned tailoring, we learned bow making. Now it's learning armor. I am in for that. By the way, I'm going to take a break from Parker for a week, and then Proof House will be like my back burner book. I am planning to read like 1 chapter every day. There are 21 chapters. I'll start after a week. So I'll update you like within 2 weeks into the month.
Cool. Yeah, just let us know. Um, yeah, because I mean, I don't know. Like this series in particular is like Evie. I know you struggled with some of the parts that I liked, like um
Battles.
the yeah.
Those are great. I
I
love
thought they
them.
were good too, Pete, but Evie was over it.
I want the till. I'm sorry. I'm more compelled by the tillering, descriptions of tillering than I
I
am of the
love
battles.
tailoring. I love tailoring, but
I like that
battle is
too.
also interesting actually.
But the battles.
Indeed. Anyway, so let's just give general thoughts. How you think this one compares with the last one? Again, don't spoil anything just yet. I like this one better than Colors in the Steel, but it did make me like Colors in the Steel better. I thought this one, while nothing happens in this book, um, I at least thought it was more focused with the nothing happens. Like I can like if you ask me what Colors in the Steel is about, I'd be like, I don't know. But this book is about a university goes to war with a bank, and that's what this book's about. It's about universe. It's about yeah, and the Loridans um,
I mean, they're both
within
technically
that.
banks.
Yeah, no, the what is it? The Skona. They're a university. They're a bunch of scholars.
Sastel.
The what?
Sastel. That is the university one. Skona
Oh,
is the bank.
all right. So Sashtel. Um, yeah, it's a bunch of like people who have the only thing they know about war is what they've read in their textbooks and taught in their classes, which I
Yeah.
love. It's just a bunch of armchair generals,
All
you know.
generals are like professors from and teachers from all administrators, generals are professors from these classes. That is like hilarious. And the students are the soldiers.
Yeah.
Do you think
So
Parker's trying to say that teachers can only those who cannot do teach? Do you think
I
that's what
mean,
he's trying to say?
no. What I love about this is the absolute like Parker is so good at portraying how bureaucracy just gets in the way of everything. Like it is a war fought by committee, a war fought by by department heads.
By
So
textbook.
yeah,
They
yeah,
try
and it's
to.
just, it's ridiculous, but it's so funny. Like it's
Yeah.
so funny, like, and it's intentional, but it's not like it's not funny. Like, oh, look at the jokes. It's just like the fact there's like six different factions lobbying for supremacy, and and what they want is like it's all stupid. It's like, well, this person doesn't want this acknowledged, and but this faction wants this acknowledged, but also demands that we do that. It's so stupid. It's so stupid, and it's like he did this in Engineer too, just portraying the ludicrousness of bureaucracy and low level functionaries having way too much power. Um, anyway, so I enjoyed this. I enjoyed this one more. I just thought it was more focused, even though nothing really happens. Pete, what are your overall thoughts?
I really like this. I agree with the fact that it's much more focused, and I loved. I think the bow making in particular was something that I really liked. Um, Not like the actual
Yeah.
making of the wooden bows and stuff like this. I thought that really came alive in my head, and I did like the campaign, the war, and everything like that. And like similar thoughts to you about like there was this basically I would call it like British humor level of absurdity with it all,
Yeah.
which is really one of the big reasons why I like Parker here is we have
For
this
sure.
like subtle making fun of everything around it that's feels very British to me. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I still like Colors of the Steel, and I liked how he builds everything off of it all, right? So the Colors of Steel is just a setup book for the next two. That's what it is.
Yeah, pretty much. Anitha, I'm actually eager to hear your thoughts, considering how difficult this one was for you to get through.
Okay, you'll hate me for this maybe. For some things, actually, I like this better. Actually, I agree with you, Alan. This made me like Colors in the Still more. And I like some things in this book. At the same time, I think maybe because of this is his first trilogy, right, as a Parker. So it made me realize how much he grew as a writer, especially in his standalones. I love his standalones, and for me, his writing peaked in the Hammer. I really loved Hammer. In every Parker book, I do have this problem that he uses his female characters um,
As plot
usually
devices.
usually to take down his intelligent characters. You know, usually, not in every book. I do have that problem, but Parker somehow managed to make me interested in the story and the characters' thoughts and how a character works through his amazing character work. So I managed to not think about it. I managed to like his books. But this book, there is so much nonsense. Actually, there is so much extra because his standalones are so perfect. Every sentence is towards something to show us the main character, what he's thinking, what his motivations, that's all. But this book, there are like small things, like there is fat shaming, there is vanity, there is so much nonsense. I did not like that part. Or
I think Engineer Trilogy is better about that with it being focused on the characters and stuff. And to what you're saying about characters is this particular trilogy, I haven't gone away really yet. Again, we have a third book, but I haven't I didn't like Ziani as we all know, and unlike Evie, I know, but I will remember Ziani. Like I always remember Ziani, Gase Dorenja, Valens, even though I forgot his name, and Duke Orsia. Like I still remember those characters, even if I forget their names.
And Beatrice.
What? Yeah, Beatrice, Gignomai from the Hammer. Basso Basso just will always stand above and beyond. Kunessen from the Company. But yeah, like Bartis Loridan just seems like an amalgamation of like a lot of what these characters that are more kind of like refined, especially in this book.
Yeah.
Who the is Bartis Loridan in this freaking book? Like what? Like what? And so anyway,
he just wants to stay away.
That Parker ideas are still there in this book, but they're perfected in his later books. In this week, I can see the problem. So it was little difficult for me to love the book as a whole, but there are definitely parts I liked. And there is not a single character. I mean, that is always with Parker, but at least in Injury Trilogy, as you said, I liked Valence, I liked Duke Orsia, though he's stupid. And there are we can see something good in other characters, but this book, like every main character is either psychopath or stupid person.
Well, Athley I like, and I guess everyone's just gonna be rooting for Temrai in book 3. So yeah, Matt, I agree. Like I think sometimes when we get series, like I think authors feel obligated to like pad the length sometimes, and that's why that's why I like Parker standalone so much. Like they are very, very self-contained, which I like a lot. Anyway, Evie, thoughts?
So I guess I have the unpopular opinion of really liking Colors in the Steel on its own.
Me too.
I just liked the introduction of all these characters, just seeing where he started off with, or how he started off as a writer in his KJ Parker works. Belly of the Bow, I struggled with. There were elements that I really, really loved, but a lot of it I felt like I was trudging through it. However, with that said, the ending, which we will not talk about quite yet, chapter 21, was all that trudging and all that buildup was leading to that moment, and it was made that worth it.
And that's why very rarely does a book end in a way that like it's really important that you don't know what this book is building towards
Yeah.
when you read it. I can't imagine how you would, like, if someone had your experience, Evie, like how you trudge through all that knowing where it's going, as opposed to being like, oh, I see. So
But yeah, so I wound up, really liking it obviously by the end. And regardless of whether I enjoyed it or not, just again seeing where Parker where he started from and where he's already I saw
Yeah.
the where he built to in other works and then moving forward. Um but then just in general, like his writing is really simultaneously compulsively readable, but also like really challenging.
it's
And
so dense. I completely agree. See, like, completely agree. It always feels like there's like a fog around me when I'm like reading a bunch of Parker, in this book especially, where it's like there's nothing hard about what I'm reading, and yet I don't know Parker. I don't know. I don't know.
I
I feel
think
like
I think
Parker. Go
my
ahead.
sorry, no, I was just gonna say my experience with Parker's prose in general is that even though it's especially in this book, but also in his other works, like it's compulsively readable, but still pretty no
I don't know what is reproach, so you have to give me a hint what to do.
no just read City of Last Chances, Anita. So it's still difficult to not difficult challenging, dense to read or whatever, but I think because of the combination of the compulsiveness and the density, yeah, I know it's very boring, I'm so sorry.
No. That was me dying after doing my reproach thing.
Got it. It's actually oddly immersive. Like I don't immerse myself into a story very often, but because of those two elements in Parker's prose, it takes work for me, but I am able to get immersed into his stories. If that makes sense.
I agree. Like, what Parker is doing is, it's so interesting what Parker is doing, and the problem is that sometimes it's really hard to get there. Like, Mitch started with The Hammer as his first KJ Parker work, despite imploring him not to, and got 50 pages and said it felt like 500 and is done. And so we've lost another one.
He's not wrong.
I mean, I get it, but like, what frustrates me is not Mitch. What frustrates me are the is like that strata of people who like won't like dig through this and then sit here and talk about the like really challenging things that Parker is throwing up as like a mirror. I am trying to think of an author, because there are others, but Parker is one of the best at exploring the failings and frailty of the human condition. Like he shows people at their absolute worst, and even when people are being heroic, they are still being normal person heroic. You know what I mean? Like, they're more hero by lack of choice, or hero by circumstance, or hero by, well, someone's got to do it.
Their internal thoughts and motivations clearly tell us that he is not doing this for what we want them to, not for moral purpose.
Yeah, their motivations for it are bad. Like,
their motivations.
Thank you so much, Sal.
Overall, Parker is the way he writes to me is very immersively mundane.
Yeah.
Like, it just, I feel like that's why it takes so much to trudge through it sometimes, is because everything just feels like normal people going about slightly different lives than we would, and
sorry, go ahead.
In very specific situations, right? Like it's just mundane to a certain extent.
Yeah, and I feel like it's also observational in a way.
Yeah.
The whole thing about like, oh, show don't tell. Parker entirely is showing us.
He doesn't tell us freaking anything. Sometimes,
like, plot-wise or character-wise, like
he just bear these characters with their negative, most darkest thoughts, and wear them naked, just lay them in front of us, and uh, I can't say unfortunately. Somehow he make us like these characters, and I. I'm so confused last night because he made me like Mardas. I was like, oh my god, he's such a psychopath, and I like this character.
Now
Yeah.
you understand my love for Ziani,
No,
Anita.
Gianni is
No.
clearly bad character from the beginning.
Look, Anita, you and I, we will never have the leg to stand on because we like he made us like Gay Sturenja, and Gay Sturenja is an objectively terrible person.
Yes.
Um, but what an interesting character, man. Um, and yeah, yeah. Anyway, um, so we're again not going to go into the ending spoilers yet, but I do want to talk about we get more of the principle in here. Some of the threads don't seem to go anywhere. Like, what is going on with the merchants with Beatrice? That's a rhetorical question. Currently, we'll get there. Like with Beatrice and the other V and V.
Venart.
What?
Venart.
Venart. Yeah, Venart and not Beatrice. Venart and
Vetris.
Beatrice.
Vetris.
Beatrice. Okay, yeah. With those two, like, why are they still there? And also, how many naturals in the principal are on this island? Because it seems like everyone they run into is like, oh well, they're natural with the principal. Also, why is his suit biting off the heads of rats? That's disgusting.
Oh my god, that was like, I was so angry with KJ Parker when I read that. I was like, what are you doing with this character, man? This is like no need. That's so unnecessary. I mean,
Yeah,
I just
I have a
don't see
very
the point of that.
I've got a very specific thing to say about her again, but it ties into the ending. So, but here we get to see Niesa, and really now we get what a strange place to start, Colors in the Steel, and then leading into this book. And that's why I think this book makes me like Colors of Steel better, because I understand more of what Bartis is doing and why Gorgas is in freaking Colors in the Steel, having read this book. But it just feels like this is information that I needed to know before I read Colors in the Steel.
But
Because
I think a lot of the information he was trying to seed it. Like, we got a little bit of it at the end.
yeah,
And I feel like there was a lot of things that were explained with Niesa and Gorgas that to me weren't that surprising because they were kind of hinted at the very end.
yeah, it just seems like things came out of nowhere. But after
Yeah.
reading this one, it's obvious that it was planned, that it didn't come out of nowhere. But that's strange. But here we get to see this. So it's about a war between a university that is serving as basically mortgage company, right?
Yeah.
It's feudalism, actually. Straightforward feudalism.
But a university runs it instead of a lord, and versus the bank that the Lordans run, that their sister Niesa runs. And while that's the backdrop, it's really about the relationship between this. Like, there are dysfunctional families, and then there are the Loridans. Like, what
The family is
on
cursed. I think
earth? And again, be careful what we're talking about. But this is a messed up family and their dynamics. And first of all, how did y'all feel at the reveal of and so guys, we're in spoiler territory. We're not going to spoil the ending. I'll tell you before we do that. But how did y'all feel about the reveal that Niesa wasn't assaulted, right? Wasn't she
I
in on it?
I think she was having an affair with one of the guys,
Yeah.
Hevin. But nobody knows that. So when the assault happens, the other guy she doesn't want, so it happened. And so this guy also participated in that. So it
Okay,
did happen.
that's right. That's right. It was. I knew there was something that she did that Gorgas and Bartis didn't know about, and it was she was in a relationship with that guy that they were trying to keep away from her. Then
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
I will say, because this is not the ending, one scene that I really, really liked, and just sticks out in my mind is when Bartis goes back to Misog.
That's okay. That's okay. That's how I pronounced it. No audiobooks.
So when he goes back there and he meets the two other brothers. By the way, hopefully you don't hear the game in the background.
Oh, you're fine.
No.
I have so many quotes.
But I really liked that scene where essentially Bartis's whole reason for being and doing what he's doing, he's sending all of this money to his family, and he's making all these sacrifices, and his brothers don't give a crap. They actually resent him for that. And I think that was the breaking point for him.
Well, I think it also shows that, like, Bartis thinks he wants to go back to that life, but it's like the allegory of the cave. Like, that's all he knew, but now he's, it's like in book 1 where Temrai was in the city for like 6 months to learn everything. And then he goes back to his tribe and he's like, these savages, like, they don't do it the right way. Like knowing that there's a better way to do it and then not doing it just seems stupid. And that's kind of where Bartis is, I feel, here, where he's, had all of these other experiences and, luxuries and just all this other life that isn't boring, because I don't think Bartis wants to be bored. And then he goes back to the Misoge and he's there with his idiot brothers, and he's just going to be a farmer with all these other idiot farmers. And I really don't think, and that's what Athlete was like, this is not you. Like, what? And so I think he knew that he was not going to be satisfied there. And then his brothers, who resent him for his success, for sending them money.
So much money.
Yeah, that they lost. They all lost because they're morons.
So
when Bartis yells at them, I love it.
Yeah,
I love that scene as well. But another reason why I love that scene is that you're like, okay, yeah, Bartis, I agree. I'm on Bartis' side. And then the brothers are explaining, like, you guys have coddled us. We've never been shown how to do anything. It's like, oh, there's no right and wrong side on here. Like, there are people to blame, situations to blame. Like, there's no singular person, They
are victims when it comes to not knowing what to do or how to do things, but at the same time, their attitude and their pride did not help. Mm-hmm. They did not.
And I think that goes into the Lorden thing. Like, they are Lorden, so they're not.
They all had trauma with whatever happened, which everyone has like different effect on them, but entire family, I don't know, it's cursed family. I think it's all about Parker is trying to show how one family could ruin like multiple nations.
Maybe there's something to do with the principle.
I wonder if it's hereditary, this principle, or magic or philosophy, whatever it is.
Well, doesn't Vitriz? She's kind of a natural.
Yeah, she is
not related to them, right?
No.
So
far, it's not. I don't understand how or why that boy being Gennadius's cousin's son is connected to the story. I mean, when the boy's name is not mentioned, Gorgas is like, what is your apprentice name? I forgot. It always escapes me. And Bartas never mentions name. He's like, boy. I was like, okay. Somehow name is connected, same as the first book. I was like, okay, this is why. But I still don't see how it is connected to the, main plot line. I don't know.
I think it'll be like a side thread in the third book, right? It'll probably connect Athlete and Gennadius in some way or shape or form, since that's where the boy is right now. That's my guess.
That's probably true. So.
Yes, Rabin, no such thing as magic. Philosophy.
So what do you guys? So, Niessa, after the fallout of when they were younger, started a bank whose purpose was to cause the fall of Paramedea so that Bardis would have to come home.
I
I don't
think
think that was
no.
the only
But
purpose.
from Niesa's perspective, she doesn't want to pay interest to Permidia. That's why she did
That's
that.
right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. She destroys an entire city because she don't want to pay them interest.
Yeah.
I mean, who wouldn't do that?
I
Yeah.
mean, I know.
Destabilize the country. Let's go.
So let's talk about the relationship between the three of them. Why do you think Bardis? And these are not really questions that I don't really know where I land on a lot of this stuff because I haven't really thought about it. Waiting for Anita. But why do you think Bardis is so reluctant to reconnect with Gorgas
I think,
and Yessa?
okay, from my opinion, I think like growing up, he was good at whatever the farming or doing things with their hands. And
Is Bardis the oldest of
no,
all
he
of
was
them?
third. After first
Gorgas.
Niasa, after that Gorgas, third is Bardas.
So Gorgas is older than Bardis.
Yes. But Bardas really liked farming. I think that's what he wanted to do. And everything was, I mean, his father died and that life is taken from him. And he never liked killing people, though that's what he did. I think I could
There's
be
a big
wrong.
discussion he has about farming with the boy, about how if he had never left the Masoge, he wouldn't, Anyway,
That is maybe starting thing, but I'm thinking we still don't know the key reason why Bardas was reluctant to forgive Gorgas, though so many times Gorgas helped him.
I think it's I think there's a the same way that the younger brothers resent Bardis. I think Bardis in a way resents Gorgas and Niesa as the elder siblings. Like they should have shared the help to take care of the farm and stuff like that, and Gorgas being the one that killed their father and started all this. And um I think there was just, again, resentment that
Yeah.
shouldn't have been my responsibility. I'm speaking as Bardis. And to Anita's point, like, he wanted to be a farmer, so he got that taken away from him, so there's that resentment there.
And I think with Niesa specifically, there seems to be a resentment of Niesa forgiving Gorgas for what he did, and he wants to hold that grudge. Like, he doesn't want to forgive Gorgas at all. I think there's more to it, but that seems to be the primary thing that I've seen. Because he doesn't want to forgive a monster, and we're not going to talk. And yeah.
And
and then we have Gorgas, who, and again, I like y'all's opinions, but to me, Gorgas is like his raison d'etre right now is to get Bardis to forgive him, to let Bardis and I think that may be why. We'll talk about that in a minute, because that's my only explanation I have for certain things that occur. Go ahead.
Just really quickly, Bardis. Gorgas is Vin Diesel in Fast and the Furious.
I have not seen any of those movies because I'm neither fast nor furious.
He's all about family.
Oh, he's about the family. Yeah, I do know that.
also, the bow he used to kill his own father was made by Bardas. It was a gift
that's
to
right.
Gorgas, so he might have that, he gave the weapon. He could have that feeling too.
Yeah, and they both acknowledge that Bardis is the smart one. Gorgas was just good at carrying out orders. Bardis is the one that could think for himself. Anyway,
yeah, because Gorgas is our friendly spot the sociopath in this book. Because Gorgas carries out orders, he does things because they should be done, not necessarily because he wants to. A lot of the times, I feel like, and I think getting the family together is also another one of these things. This is something that he thinks should be done, and therefore he's going to follow it doggedly, whether or not he wants to or not. And yeah.
This is one of the things that I love that Parker explores. Parker does explore the duty a lot. And go ahead and laugh, Edie. He explores duty, both intrinsic and extrinsic. on the things that make you do the things that you should do, that you're supposed to do. Like just like Neil Dukas was the the primary,
Yeah.
and Orsia and Valens in the Engineer trilogy. Like he explores that a lot, and he does that here too. Like the responsibility you have to your family, and but also your position, like Niessa's position in the bank, Gorgas's position as the general of a non-army, like and and then in the first book, Bardis's position as attorney and boss and defender of the city or whatever. So yeah, I think you're right, Pete. Like Gorgas believes that this family needs to be together. Why does Niessa care? Like, but because Niessa is the one who got Bardis there, but it seems like Gorgas wants it way more than Niessa does.
I think she always looks for an advantage in everything. She keeps them alive because they could be useful to her.
Yep.
I
Pragmatism.
mean, at least that's what I thought because of that last paragraph. That's what I reread. I wanted to reread the discussion between Alexius and Niessa in his dream because she wants a right hand man. So that's why she doesn't want to kill anyone, keep. She kind of healed Isush so that Isush could be her right hand man.
Yeah, she's a strange character I don't have a beat on yet. And I'm wondering if we're going to get any of them, like with where this ends. Like, are we going to see Gorgas and Niessa at all, or is it going to be Bardis and Temrai again?
I
Like, I
think
know
it will
Temrai's back.
I think it will be tied up somehow because Gorgas was in Masoke. Maybe
Is it
either Tembrai and because plains, right? Masoge is very close to the city and plains, so I
Is it?
think it all ties.
I
I thought
don't
it
I
was
know.
think
across
so.
the water and everything, but
Yeah,
I could be wrong.
I thought the
Is it
Masoga was like close to a desert and was not near the city because
well,
any
plains are automatically close to a desert, and deserts are close to.
yeah. Anyway,
Um,
um,
is it Gorgas the one leading the army to conquer Misoge, or is that
yeah.
Yes,
Bardis?
Yeah, but
Gorgas.
the thing is, like, what would that matter? Like, why do we care in the larger story that
It
because
depends if
he's not
Temrai
doing
is.
it at the behest of Niessa. He's just doing it. Like
It
he's
could.
returning to the Masoge to
I
be in
I
charge
think
of it.
all Loridans are little crazy. Suppose now Gorgas wants to control Mesoge. He wants to be in that power position. And do you remember that Isu's POV before Bardas comes to meet her? She was like, now she controls Little Nessa because she convinced the little girl that she's witch and she controls Luha and she controls Harris. She wants that power in their home. I think they're all little off in their
So
brains.
we're about to talk about the ending of this book, and it's fine, guys. You can enjoy it after knowing it. It's just this is not something that I would have wanted. Like I would have been irritated if I knew.
It's a
before I saw it.
shock.
Yeah,
It is very much a shock, and the value of that shock cannot be overstated.
yeah, and I'm trying not to like. I'm also trying not to just, because people talk about endings a lot, and it's just like I think this is just one that needs to be, you know,
Did it break you, Alan?
protected. No. But again, I figured it out in chapter 13, and you can go back and look at our discussion, and you can see in chapter 13 my what do we call it? What did I
Spoiler
dub?
bars?
Spoiler Bard?
No, that's what it's actually called, but I dubbed it something.
Oh, the black box? I don't know.
No, it's like
Clothed in darkness? No.
something
Shaded
similar.
in darkness.
Field of darkness.
Shield of darkness. There you
Yes. Anyway, my shield of darkness. So anyway, y'all go ahead and drop if you need to do that. But otherwise, you're welcome to stay and just listen. Many of you, aren't going to read Parker, and certainly aren't going to read this second book. Sal, you read Parker, so you should go. I think it's really like this is not something where like it's not like, oh, I figured it out. It's not an Agatha Christie novel. It's just I have read enough Parker, and what spoiled it for me. Here is how I figured it out. That warning at the beginning of the book, because I saw it and I kept going back to it. And so I saw the warning at the beginning of the book where he's like, hey, I've literally made all of these bows except for one, and you'll know it when you get there. And so I maybe assumed that when he was making the one out of the animal bones and stuff, I was like, okay, maybe that's it. But I'm like, Why would he tell me not to do it? And so then, as I was reading, and like I don't know what it was about chapter 13, I literally went to my Shield of Darkness and I said, "Oh no, the bow's gonna be people, isn't it?" Like I just had this horrible feeling that the bow's gonna be people. And then in chapter 20, where first of all, I am not sure Parker has bone chilled me more than when Bardis is riding high, goes to talk to his suits, and she says, "Well, let me tell you the real story about what happened, about who opened the gates that night." And then the paragraph ends. And I was just bone chilled because that is the perfect time to unleash that. Like Bardis is feeling good about himself, about his life. And then his suits is like, I can destroy this man. This is how I can get him. And I love that. Like it was so bone chilling. And then the next time you see Bardis, and because this is where I thought y'all were going to figure it out, he talks about takes the bone to do something. And I'm like, but he said he wasn't going to use the bones anymore because after he made that crappy animal bone one. And so when I saw the bones, I'm like, okay, so the bow is people. But I didn't know who. Like, I didn't know who it was. So I was still just like, gobsmacked when I realized who. Because I'm like, Gorgas is using a bow made from a person. Gorgas is using a bow made from a person. I'm like, Gorgas, you are using a person bow. And then, guys, what is that scene? Like when he brings Gorgas into Niessa's,
let me show
laboratory.
You how I made it.
Like what is that scene? Like Parker, we got it at that point. Parker didn't need to show us the room. Like
and he was taking us in there and locking us in and be like, "Are you sure?" Putting the magnifying glass up. Of like,
no. And Bardis,
right?
Wait. Matt just got in here, and we need to tell him to leave.
I think he's already left.
He's left.
Okay, I want to say two things. I want to give credit to Parker here for not showing us that in a graphic way. He did not explain how he did. At the same time,
Still magic.
Because of Gorgas' reaction or lack thereof reaction, I could also move on. Otherwise, it would have killed me, that scene, actually. If Gorgas, broke down and started crying or had an emotional reaction, I would have had an emotional reaction. Because there was no reaction, I also did not, I can see how horrible that act is, but I did not have an emotional reaction. It was not dramatic for me. So I am thankful to Parker for that. At the same time, I don't understand Gorgas' thought process here. He was so stuck at winning Bardis' approval, that having him in his life, that he does he love his son?
What I was talking about earlier is I think because Gorgas' main thing is winning back his brother, I think he considers some of the cosmic scales settled by having this done. And I mean, again, they're also psychopaths, all of them. And two, like he says, what's he gonna do? Kid's dead.
Yeah. So I have a different reaction to that scene
cool.
as a reader. So while I wasn't emotional in that, I was like, I mean, obviously I was shocked or whatever.
Yeah.
But there's just I've never felt such a sinister quality in a scene in the writing as I have in that scene.
Completely.
And then on top of that, Gorgas's reaction, and then Bardis's reaction to Gorgas's reaction, like it just adds and just amplifies the sinister quality.
Yeah, Bardis literally says, Gorgas, I made a bow out of your son. How are you not mad? That's impossible.
Plot twist, Alan's gonna make a bow out of me. Out of my bones.
Yeah. It is
It is very, very
terrifying scene. Pete, your take?
Yeah, I didn't get it until Gorgas literally walked into the door.
That's amazing. Like that's the best thing.
Yeah,
I
that
didn't
was
get it either.
He walked into the door and he said that it smelled weird, and I'm like, wait, Bones, where's the kid? Where's the kid? Where's the kid?
I will say that I did start getting on my I did start getting a little concerned when when Luha was like, "Oh, I want to help you" or whatever, and Bartis is like, "Oh yeah, you can help me."
That's
And I'm
See,
like,
that's
"Oh,
the part
no."
that's when I knew it was that kid actually.
No, that threw me off the track. I'm like, well, it can't be the kid. The kid's helping him. So I did not see that.
That was my hint actually, that it was Luha. I was like, no, please tell me he did not do that. Pardas was good. I was like, no, no, no. But I mean, it was such a creepy scene. The lack of reaction from Gorgas. I was like, oh my god, I can't tell you. It was without explaining it in a graphic way, without showing any emotions from both the characters. He made it more impactful actually somehow.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I had to sit up. I read this right before I went to bed because that was a day where they were like, "Oh, you can finish it today," and I think I had like 100 pages left. I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it." So I did it, and that was regretful because it was literally like 1 a.m, and I was sitting there lying awake processing this.
Yeah, it was. I have never seen anything like, I've read grimdark stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This just felt like the rest of the book like it didn't feel like Parker was trying to gotcha. Like Evie said, everything was leading to this point. Like if we went back and read it, you could see how everything's pointing here.
Yeah.
And
but without being obvious, like
yeah, and
even in hindsight, it's not obvious.
It is one of the most disturbing things that I've read because, like, just everything about it, the way Parker writes it, so the atmosphere of the scene, their reactions and lack thereof, just the sheer, like, and it's all triggered from Isut's being like, hey, so by the way, Gorgas, he's the one that opened the freaking gates, and you can just imagine, like, I love that Parker does not show us anything after that. The next time we see Bardas, he's making the bow.
Mm-hmm.
We are left, and I think the whole thing is better for it.
Yeah.
We are left imagining Isut's reaction to the falling of Bardas's face, Bardas going to his brother's house, having his sister-in-law answer the door, like all of that we have to imagine. And I think that enriches that moment as well because it's oh man.
And it doesn't.
Sometimes the most effective thing a writer can do is leave it to the reader's imagination.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's why I love Parker, because he left it, leave it to us like many things. He doesn't over explain. He doesn't tell us how to feel.
Again, he shows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
even with how he writes structurally, this is something that he has done throughout the book, throughout all of his writing, really, right? So because he's switching between a lot of different POVs, we don't get every significant moment from the POVs that we need. Yeah. I was thinking about this when before I got to this moment, was like there were places with I think it was an Alexius POV, and I'm like, I wish I could have seen Alexius's reaction to this thing that happened with this last chapter with this other character. But there are gaps between the POVs that we are left to imagine, so that this gap between Bardas learning and starting to do the bow, that it's not unusual whatsoever. It's just
this is something that Glenn Cook does well also, where he'll just like leave. It's like, hey, that was a huge deal. Glenn Cook, why are you not writing about that? Like,
and then on top of it, it's all about the actual perspective since it's first person. But to further illustrate Pete's point, using a different scene in Colors in the Steel, the whole the inciting incident is the curse, and then it's Vitris going in and staying back for a little bit. And we don't get that because we're in no, not Alexius.
Gennadius, yeah.
Gennadius
Perspective. And then we get the payoff in this book of getting Vitris saying, yep, I fixed everything. Fixed everything. But
for sure. It was just like and the thing is, what Bardas did, while I think, we can talk about whether we think it's out of character, for Bartis. It is not out of character for humanity. Like Parker, and this is what I'm talking about. Like people that like to plumb the depths of human depravity, like the fact that lurks inside someone, that someone can be so enraged to be cut off from all emotion to try to get revenge.
No, I can understand killing the kid for revenge, but using him to make the bow, I mean, the thought itself is like the level of depravity I cannot imagine.
And yet,
No way.
so
No
hold on.
way,
So
Lisa.
as we think about this, and this is just hilarious about the human mind, about how depraved this is, and yet we're gonna give Ziani a pass for the thousands of people
No,
who die based on his actions.
no.
Like Bartis killed one kid, and we
Even
think, how is that worse?
see, even Bardas, I don't give pass. I was like, in the last chapter when Alexius said, because of you, all those people's lives were, safe now. I was like, no, no, don't give him credit. I was like, I don't want to give him any credit for that. What he did is wrong.
Go ahead.
I think to go back to that scene, it's again, everything is built up to this moment. So Bardas, when he meets with his younger siblings and he realizes like, oh, this isn't, farming isn't for me. I can go back to the city and then, or not the city, go back to the life that I had. And then Azutz destroys that. Like, that's just one breaking point, and then the straw that broke the camel's back. It was just a 1-2 punch situation, and again, sinister psychopaths. And I guess that's what you get.
You and I have a different interpretation of Gorgas's last scene. You think he's killed his wife. I think what he's talking to his daughter, he's saying that Mama, like I think his wife kicked him out. I think his wife said, "Get gone."
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
Guys, do any of you guys think his wife is the spy in that scene between Gennadius and his friend in Sastel? Because that when Gennadius goes to meet him, that friend completely tells him what happened. It was like, it is right from Nessa's mouth. We have a spy in some upper place. My first doubt went to actually Gorgas's wife. Because
I don't even remember the part you're talking about.
Okay. Gennadius
Gorgas
goes to meet his friend in the Sastel. So that friend explains everything.
Yeah.
Don't you know?
Remember.
I know. Yeah. So that friend says that we know this because it came right from the Nessa's mouth. We have a spy, our spy is in some top place.
No, I just think it's a clerk in Niessa's. I just think it's a clerk at the bank.
Because Bartis's or Gorgas's wife doesn't really go to interact with Niessa herself that much. She does the copy
we
stuff.
did not see, but Gorgas could have
sure,
told her.
It could be, yeah. But then it wouldn't be straight from Niessa's mouth. I don't know.
Who knows? We'll see. So, before we talk about any closing thoughts, so what do y'all think? So, if this were any other author, I would predict Bartis's death at the end of Proof House. If this were any other author, it is entirely possible that Temrai will die instead, because this is KJ Parker. I'm
surprised Temrai didn't die in the last in Colors of Steel, honestly.
So, who do y'all think? Bartis, Temrai, or both are dead at the end of Proof House? What's y'all's prediction? You know what? This is Parker's first work. Maybe he hasn't learned that nonsense he does yet. I'm gonna say Bartis. I'm gonna say Temrai survives, Bartis dies in Proof House. That's my prediction.
I'm gonna say that they both survive, and Gorgas is the one that dies.
I think Gorgas and Vardas will survive. They won't die. I mean, if I know a Parker anything.
Okay.
Temrai I can't talk about. If Parker has to kill someone, it would be Temrai.
All right, so cool. So
I'm gonna say that Bartis one of Bardis or Gorgas is going to die. Temrai is going to die. Like what Rabin is going to is saying about one of the psychos right off into the sunset. One of them is going to ride off into the sunset, but it's actually possible it could be as Suits as the psycho that rides off into the sunset. To be honest,
Okay, guys, who is the,
everybody's going to die.
according to you, like Badas, Gorgas, Niesa, Isur, who is the biggest, rank the psycho levels, who is the biggest psycho?
Gorgas. If Nies is not in this one, then whatever. But I think Asutes is probably the one to ride off into the sunset.
I think Asutes is the lowest on the psychopathy train. I think the three older Lordans are the most crazy. And so I think Bardis snapped. I think Bardis is a one-time incident. So I think Bardis snapped. So I'm going to say I would rank on psychopathy Gorgas, Niesa, Bardis, even with what Bardis did. I think Bardis. I don't think that is Bardis. Like I don't think that's who Bardis is. I think Bardis lost it.
I think for me, it depends on the execution of his character in Proof House. Like how can he move on or regret, or what does he think? Does it affect his mentality or something like that? It depends on that for me.
Well, Gorgas and his Suits are both in the belly of the bow. They're the ones that have caught. Well, I would say Gorgas definitely. Gorgas, like, metaphorically, is the belly of the bow because he's been under so much pressure this entire time.
And no, Bardis is supposed to be the belly because he's the one that. But yeah, because he's the one that's put under so much strain that he finally snaps.
By the way, I love just philosophizing. Would you call this navel gazing, Alan? Of like when he's talking about Tillerine and the bellies of the bows and stuff like that. I love that aspect of it. Yeah,
no. And the thing is, Pete, it works with Gorgas also. Yeah. But Bardis, when he's making that bow, is like, he's like, he always thought of himself a good man, but then at some point, at some point you snap, that kind of stuff. It's guys, right toward the end.
If we take just belly of the bow book, not Colors in the Steel, just this book, Gorgas is the least psychopath person. He did not do anything other than, wanting to be family with everyone. Family man. If we take just this book, for me at least.
But we can't.
That's true.
Now, you didn't give that criteria, Anita, when you were asking the question.
Oh,
I just got the thought now.
So does Gorgas survive all those battles because of the principle? Like, is that, or can we just ignore the principle again in this discussion?
I mean, you can argue it's this principle because principle is just,
I have to pee. I'll keep talking.
I think Niesa is protecting him.
Well, Niesa can't really do much without other people.
I think Gorgas can do. Gorgas can do, right?
Yeah, Gorgas is a natural.
But she basically amplifies. Like, I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like she's kind of like an amplifier. Like, Gorgas is has the powers, but she has the ability to actually manipulate stuff.
She has the knowledge to do it.
She knows how to do things, so she uses all naturals as a conduits. Actually,
I think so. That's why I'm saying I think she is making sure he stays alive.
But because he's a natural, he kind of things work out for him because he's a natural.
Yes, so she's manipulating the luck or the chance or whatever it was.
Yeah, they got the powers. She's got the knowledge.
Rabin thinks others are amplifiers, but okay. Why do you guys think that? Yes, why do you think Niesa ran away without even issues?
That was literally what I was coming back to say. Why do you think Niesa abandons everybody?
Because she's a pragmatist. She's gonna do what she can to survive. Like she doesn't.
So she predicted the loss, or what?
She didn't think that she was gonna lose, and because she's weighing the risk of losing against how much she could lose if she lost and stayed there versus how much she could recover if
How long has she been planning that?
It's what?
You always have plans within plans within plans.
Yeah, just have multiple plans. She just weighed the risks and decided that the risks were greater than the rewards of winning. I guess.
Why did not she heal Isuj, make Alexius fix her trauma before leaving? Actually, if she already made plans. She could have done that when Alexius and Vetris was with her in that
See, thank
director
you for
meeting
coming and
room.
discussing with us.
Right,
Fixes
Abhi?
Zeus what? Fix what? Zeus is
Like
what?
in the last scene, she made Isus heal from her intent to, like, obsession to kill Bardas, right? That's what
Oh
she
yeah.
said. All happened, but now she will not be obsessed. That's what my hope is, because she wants Isus to be her right hand man. She could have done that long before, right? Immediately,
There
even
had to be an
when she is in
opportunity for
prison.
that to happen, though. Right, because the reason that he was able to fix that obsession was because there was a moment with like a crossroads between her thoughts of just like, oh, she could consider this because XYZ thing happened, her thoughts could go towards being resolved or not being resolved.
Okay, now that she already told Bardas and created that conflict, so that can be a, maybe
Yeah,
it could be considered as revenge
yeah,
done.
yeah, because she got her revenge finally. She can't just go into somebody's mind and just tweak what they're thinking type of deal. Like it had something to do with the fact that she had that choice. She did the thing, and that thing could resolve one way or the other, and so he changed the resolution of it.
Yeah.
All right. So we've been at this for an hour. Any final thoughts on Belly the Bow, Proof House? Any final thoughts?
Uh,
I just I don't have any like expectations of what is going to happen in Proof House.
Mhm.
I just want to see what KJ Parker does.
Yeah, same.
And that's again to beat a dead horse. That's what I really like about KJ Parker's works is the unknowing of
Mhm.
the story and just experiencing along with the characters.
I just know that it ain't never going to go the way I want it to go, ever.
Yeah.
It never goes the way I want it to go.
See what happened in Engineer Trilogy. Both Alan and I were very disappointed with the ending.
What I am hoping is I'm hoping that I at least enjoy Proof House more than I enjoyed The Escapement.
yeah.
So we'll see how he lands this, and I'm super excited about Scavenger Trilogy, which I've heard is his most different series. So
Yeah, I think that this book really showcased something that we all have really liked about some of the other books that we read. Like, so for instance, like with Long Price Quartet, how the series builds on itself out overall. KJ Parker, between the Engineer
Don't
trilogy
speak
and
for
this
me.
series,
You don't know me, Pete. I haven't read
you
those
will. It's
books.
okay, whatever. But so book to book, he is doing really well at building things and changing the context of the previous books to make them much more interesting.
yeah.
As it goes on, and I feel like that even happened with the Engineer trilogy to a certain extent as well. And this is just another
I think
confirmation of that.
Engineer Trilogy has a structure, maybe because I already read that. I can see that in this one I don't know what is going to happen. How is he going to tie up Gennadius arc, or it's done? We are not going to see Sasted, but if it's done, why did Gennadius' cousin's son is tie up to be the apprentice? I don't know. I can't see anymore. My head is. I can't see any prediction.
That's why when you finish, you'll see the connections all together.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Implications.
Well, cool. Well, then, that being said, I'm going to end it here, and that way I can get back to reading. So I can
We'll see you guys in 3 months when Anitha finishes.
hopefully. Look at Anitha. Go get her, Anitha. Get her. Turn her into a bow. So
Maybe I'll use one of your children, Evie.
that's so mean. All right.
Gosh, that's
Not Max.
No, that's so terrible.
don't touch Max.
Anyway, thank you
Max
guys who are
popped up like,
here.
what?
This is welcome to the 2025 and my promise of counter algorithmic programming here on the Library of Alexandria, because I can think of few things more counter algorithmic than a live show talking about book 2 of a KJ Parker series. And I don't care. So thank you guys. Enjoy the rest of your year. We'll be back probably in February with Proof House discussion. Bye.